Hi, I'm just going to have a look at a chart here on AUT, Aurora Oil and Gas, okay? And basically what I've just done to speed a few things up while we talk about this is I've put in a set of quadrant lines from the high to the low, okay? And they're quite easily put in. You just click on the top and you drag them down, and they give you basically quarters of the chart, so they're areas of interest to have a look at. Now, on this one here, it hasn't gone quite to the top, okay? But the way you can always check that is what I've done here is I've set a line along the top, okay? So it matches up with these tops here. And I've drawn an overall fib set down to the bottom here, okay? Now, the first fib set we've done up, and the second fib set we've done in reverse. By doing that, what that does is it gives us this last fib here, which I call the Alamo, okay? Um, what this chart is here is basically pretty much a signature chart. It's the stuff I look for, you know, is stuff that's been up here on its highs and it's grossly oversold. Okay, and then when you basically, and so long as they're in the right sector, right time, and they're a good company doing the right thing, as soon as they break above this point here, okay, you really seriously need to have a look at them, because they usually do scoot straight up to the Alamo for a start, and some of them can go through that and go straight up to the next fib set, which is the 61.8. Okay, so there's some pretty big gains to be made in stuff like this. Okay, and even if it gets to the Alamo from here, well, you've more than doubled your money there, I'd be thinking. Yeah, so anyway, just a little thing to mention on there. I'm just going to get rid of this line here. I don't know why I put that there. Now, 5H was asking basically, is this thing ever going to stop? And he's done the right thing on his charts by putting in a reverse fib, which gives us targets. Okay, and what the reverse fib is, from that little high in there down to the bottom, if we do a reverse fib there, what that'll do is it'll give us a set of targets. Now, this probably won't set properly, but I'll get them up in a little minute and fix them up. Okay, now that's chucked a top up here at the 423.6%, which is a pretty massive amount of percentage. So anybody who bought in down here is pretty much on their way to anywhere they like, basically. What I'll do is I'll just zoom in a little bit now. You've seen the overall of, you know, basically how I'd set things up, okay? Now, what we've still got here is we've still got the old closing high, okay? And by the way, I'm using the weekly chart here too, just because it would compare with his, okay? And it would also compare, it's easier to show you the whole thing, okay? Now, the next question is do we have a top here? And basically, let's just check to make sure that line is quite right. It's not quite right, so let's just get it exact on there. Get it exact on here. Okay. There. Now, what we find, even though I'll just zoom in closer so you can see this, even though it has gone through the weekly here, okay, on the weekly, it's gone through our 423%. It has not closed above it, okay? That is the thing to think of. So a lot of gusto in here, okay? The big candle up, hit right, just not quite right on the 423%. The next day, the pros were selling off. These are disciplined traders. They know that 423% rules are rules. Okay, we don't break the rules. Basically, the one. and they are selling because they know they've probably only got about a 2% to a 5% chance of the stock going any higher, okay, at this point. Okay, so they're selling here, okay. They get a bit lucky the next day because some more amateurs want to try and push the stock up, and they sell some more, okay. Basically the thing, and what has happened here, what this has formed is like a hammer in reverse, so a hammer down. Now, the one thing we have to be careful about this, I noticed 5H called it a hanged man. Well, it's definitely not. A hanged man sits around the other way. One thing we have to be careful about this is it a top, because and inverted hammers can become inverted, but inverted hammers are usually found at the bottom of a trend. Okay, so that hammer at a bottom of a trend, I would expect an open the next day and it go higher, and that would confirm a inverted hammer. This one here is looking a bit more like an evening star, but it doesn't have the gap up. Okay, but this also too is a weekly chart. Okay, the thing to bear in mind there. Okay, so what we'll be looking for now is any open lower, okay, than the close there, where the close was $2.99, just off 1 cent off $3, which would be a psychological barrier, one would think. Okay, so if it doesn't open above at $3 or $2.99, it's got no chance of going up. But for the week, it's got to open and stay above that for it to go any higher. Okay, I wouldn't like its chances of doing that. Okay, and there's a couple of reasons why. And what we'll do is we'll just check the indicators. Okay, now here's our MACD. Okay, our zero lag MACD. Now it's looking quite high, okay, and it is also trying to turn here. Okay, our SCOF is right up here on some large volumes as well, and our DEMA sitting here looks like it wants to try and turn, so it's going to make up its mind which way it's going to go next week. Okay, it's basically what I'd be thinking. Now, as far as retracement, how far is it going to retrace? Well, when you get really bullish stocks like this, the bloody things can go on forever. And if you're looking at a retracement value, you'd probably be looking at it. It may trace back to somewhere around about this line, turn and go again. Okay, is what I'd possibly is one option it could do, and then push up higher to the 90s. But you see, you got your DEMA right up here at about 87.90. Okay, and as we can see, over the recent past, it hasn't done that before. We can also see, if we want to measure this to see if it is a top, let's just take out all the tops along here. Bang. Okay, it's pretty much spot on it. Okay, so it's pushing it here at the moment. Okay. Another way you can check it too is we can have a look at the daily chart. Okay, I'm just going to do this quickly and then get back. But what we might find here on the daily chart, which will be quite interesting, yeah, there we go. Okay, now these two candles on the daily chart here, we've got our 7-period moving average turning over, and the 14 is just support at the moment. These two candles are two black crows. Okay, they usually come in threes. If you get a third one, okay, that is a confirmation of an end of trend, end of uptrend. Okay, is what you would be thinking. But it's not on a bullish stock like this. It doesn't mean it's all over Red Rover or anything like this. It can do, but you'd be looking at, if it does have that lower open, okay, so then our hammer candle down on the weekly chart confirms, okay, or call it evening star. what you'll then is you'll get the third crow, okay, which would be the next thing I'd sort of be looking at, okay. What I'm going to go and just have a look at some possible places for retracements, okay, and I'm just going to bring back that old high, okay. Now I would be looking towards old, just before I do that, I'll just keep this on so you can see it. I'd be looking at old resistance becomes support, is what I'd be tending to think. And also another thing with it, things like the old Alamo, which is around here, and that's pretty much spot on, okay, around that level there. So that's around the $2.40 mark, okay. A little trick as well to look out for is old closing highs. And we've got one right in here, just in there, okay. So it just needs to come up a smidgen, but what I'm going to do now is I'm just going to draw a fib set for you and just show you this little trick. Okay, so let's draw a fib set from the bottom to the top of that there, okay. Now that pretty much comes at our old closing high. Now, so you'd think a retrace back to there could be on the cards. Okay, here's another old trick as well. If we take from the 61%, which is the start of the last big run up, and draw a fib set up from there, okay, we then have two fibs at that same level, okay, which is here around about $2.55-ish. Okay, so one would be expecting that could be a good area of support. We've also got a quadrant line just under it. The other thing to note too is the 161 in reverse comes back to 0. So that makes this pretty much a thing that I've back tested, and it does work, okay. And then what you'll find is you've got 50% around the old fib. Then you've got your 61.8% here off that last run around your 32. And I've just had one recently where we made a call and we just hit 59 cents. It'll bounce there, bang, and it was straight off of those two fibs. But that was a chart that had a very, very good fib alignment. We actually had the old Alamo in here as well, so it was an extremely powerful spot. But if you're looking for places to bounce, I tend to be looking for these stronger fibs where the two line up, okay, here, or mainly here and here, okay, because on your weekly, this is your 4-day, okay, it's done a big golden cross and everything like that, okay. So yeah, that'd be points that I'd be looking at here, but don't forget that inverted hammer's got to confirm, and I'm pretty sure it will because you've got the two black crows, so you'll probably get a third, okay. But this has been a very bullish stock, and these bullish stocks like this, you know, can only retrace small amounts, but that's the way I'd go looking about finding places for them to bounce. 3 days up is a bounce, basically the thing, so that would probably confirm it as well. If you just quickly have a look at the monthly chart, what we'll find on here, which is pretty interesting as well, is it's actually doing a golden cross on the monthly chart, and the monthly chart at the moment, even though it's not the end of the month, is a spinning top, okay, at this point, okay, and it has spent 1, 2, 3 months outside of the Bollingers, which is another little rule of mine, okay. So you'd be tending to think she's going to come back, but it is a very bullish stock, so don't expect it to come back too far. Anyway, that's about me done. The only other thing I was just going to quickly show you was the difference between a hammer and a hanged man. That's a hanged man, that's a hammer. Okay, thank you. Yeah, just to add a little bit more too, just quickly, because I'm just right out of time, here's the daily indicators. You can see that they're all coming off as well.